Hi, James. Thanks for being with us here today.
Yeah, no, I'm very, very excited.
So you have two huge milestones this year that you're celebrating, one being the 10-year anniversary of you publishing with Boom Studios, which congratulations, that's huge, and also the 5-year anniversary of Something's Killing the Children, the huge mega hit series for both you and for Boom Studios. So let's start with the 10-year anniversary. How do you feel about that?
It's honestly pretty incredible. And with one thing that I wanted to call out is we're actually recording this here at C2E2. And so it actually would have been 11 years ago at this C2E2 when I was called into a breakfast meeting with Matt Gagnon and Ross Ritchie, and they basically were like, "We would love you to pitch something to Boom." And at that point, I was very early in my comics career. I had done some work for DC Comics, but mostly just co-writing stuff and all of that. But they liked my voice. They were excited about me, but they wanted me to pitch basically a 4-issue miniseries or something like that. And I turned around and delivered a pitch where it was just basically I wanted to do an ongoing series.
Yeah, sure.
And it was a story that had been building in the back of my mind for a number of years, and that story was called The Woods. And thankfully, they went all in on it. And it was one of those things where initially, we got the approval to do it as a 12-issue series, and then thankfully it launched strongly enough that they did the kind of unprecedented thing that they announced before the end of the first year that we were going to run for the full 36-issue run of the series, and basically let retailers know that this is a book that if you can tell the readers in your shops that if they like this book, if they pick this book up, it's going to keep on coming out. That kind of support really, really early on really, is the start of my whole career. And The Woods itself is a story that you can sort of see the blueprint of everything I've done in creator-owned comics since, in that book. It's something that's really, really deeply personal to me. And yeah, I remain incredibly, incredibly proud of it to this day.
Incredible. So looking at these past 10 years, I mean, you've had amazing collaborators with The Woods, with Michael Dialinas, Eric Donovan on Memetic, obviously Werther on Something's Killing the Children. What's it been like getting to work with this high caliber of artistic talent?
I mean, honestly, the thing that's been most gratifying in all of that is that over 10 years, I'm very good friends with all three of those artists.
Right.
And we all still hang out together. Obviously, Something is Killing the Children's still going, but Michael and I are on to our second series, Wind, also at Boom Studios. Right. It's been this really remarkable experience, sort of growing up with these incredible collaborators. And the brilliance of creator-owned comics is that it doesn't just come from one source. This is something that these books would be immeasurably different with any other collaborator. The thing I always point to in Something is Killing the Children is the fact that I didn't come up with the bandana. That wasn't in any of my initial descriptions of the series. And that was something that in the first character designs that Werther put together, suddenly he drew Erica Slaughter in this incredible bandana with these amazing teeth on it. And that's what made the book. That image defined what that series is. And similarly, going all the way back to the beginning, in Memetic, that would be a radically different series with a different, meme at the center of it. The Good Time Sloth, that image, every time we sort of talk about okay, how do we sell Memetic? And it's always been no, it's that image. I remember when I used to hand sell books at my own convention tables, and it was my favorite hand sell of all of them, because I was basically all right, Memetic is a story about an image posted online that ends the world in 3 days. And then I would pick up the trade and show them the sloth, and I'd be and this is the image. And then I'd sell the book. And it was, that sometimes I miss those days.
Sure, yeah. There's something to the very, I kind of want to say gonzo hand sell.
Oh, yeah.
and
Absolutely.
artist alleys. Yeah, it's a phenomenal experience for people who haven't been to a convention before.
Yeah.
So celebrating these past 10 years with you publishing at Boom, Boom Studios is doing a Boom Direct Reserve campaign for your library of work for the past 10 years. So what's that been like, putting that together and seeing that come to fruition?
I mean, honestly, it's just incredibly exciting. These books are so formative to me. Like, this is like, I absolutely adore them. And, now that I have a little more stature in the industry, it's just nice to be able to get really, really beautiful editions of these incredibly beautiful and like personal titles. Like the Woods, I really can't overstate, is the sort of blueprint of everything that I have done since. You can see all of the themes that I like talking about, the character dynamics and all of that. Like, it's all baked right into The Woods, and it's also the book that taught me how to write an ongoing or a long form creator-owned series. It's something that, I always like to say, it's like, I like the first few issues I like just fine, but around issue 5, it's like I figured out how to do it.
Sure.
Like, and that's the one, like that. I mean, it's good that I can't like fully George Lucas it. Otherwise I'd be like, like, hey, Michael, we're gonna like do those first 4 issues as like 12 issues now. Don't think I haven't pitched that before. But it is it's a book that I just so deeply love, and I'm so excited for people to discover. And similarly, going back to like the hand selling at the table, like The Woods is about a high school transported into the middle of an alien forest, and all of the kids trying to figure out how to survive and how to get home. And that like central like tension, that central dynamic is like, I don't know, it's so rich. Like, and even now, like when I go back and I flip through those books, it taps into all of, my insecurities from growing up. Like, each of the characters kind of like represents a different aspect of myself. And it's sort of the book that I started down the road of like kind of using my creator-owned comics as my own form of therapy.
Sure.
It's like getting the different parts of my brain to like fight with each other, all of my different insecurities, all of my, my issues, letting go of control and facing how little control you can have. And those dynamics are just all there from page 1.
I think that's something that's super exciting really about this campaign, is that it's a roadmap of your interests, your voice, your storytelling just evolving and being refined over the course of these past 10 years. And like looking back on it, absolutely, reading The Woods, I see everything that I love from you, including, not just Boom stuff, but everything from like Thick Tick to Memetic to Project Blue Book to World Tree. It's like everything is there. All these various interests are there. It's children lost in the woods. It's aliens. It's social dynamics. It's very informative of who you are as a writer. And I really love that about the campaign for fans. It's just like they get to see that road laid out.
Yeah, no, and I'm so thrilled about that. And one thing that's been really exciting about revisiting these comics is also just seeing the ways in which the themes that I've come back to over and over. My series over at DC Black Label, Nice House on the Lake, you can see it taps into a lot of the same core fears as The Woods. And there's even a kind of central similar dynamic of, an alien figure kind of dragging, a group of Wisconsin friends out into the middle of an alien forest. There is still a little bit of that in there. And then beyond that, like right now I'm doing a series over at Image Comics called World Tree that's tapping into some of my fears of the internet that were the same fears that sparked me to do Memetic back in the day. There's a line that I used a lot when I first started pitching Memetic and talking about it to the comics press about how, it's terrifying how quickly information spreads these days, and how information spreads faster than we understand whether or not it's good information or bad information.
Right.
And back in 2014, I was starting to feel that way in a really, really strong way, but it's, that feeling has only intensified over time. And, those fears have only gotten more frightening to me. And it's, I'm like both horrified and delighted that Memetic still feels relevant 10 years later.
Sure.
I would love it not to feel relevant anymore.
Even more so now.
Yeah, absolutely.
What are you hoping to bring fans in the next 10 years of your publishing?
Oh boy. Honestly, there's always been a through line from the very beginning of my creator-owned work, which is I write from myself. Like, that is my central compass. I am trying to reflect my interest. I am trying to reflect my fears. I consider myself a horror writer. So like what I'm afraid of in society and in myself is what shapes every story that I write. And now that I'm able to really focus on creator-owned comics, I can lean almost entirely into those fears and those thoughts and build story from them. And I have lots of ideas.
Sure.
And, because that's like, as we grow, for one, like the world keeps going on. So there's always new things to be afraid of.
Right.
And then on top of that, I keep growing, and I find, my relationship to myself changes year in and year out. And that means that there are things that were small fears early on that then as an adult, like become like that they calcify, or you sort of notice that a thing that you used to be afraid of, you kind of let go of that fear. And then that's an interesting story generator in and of itself. And so there's kind of a core honesty that I try to bring to all of my work that, I hope that readers see as a kind of, trademark of a James Tynion project.
Right. An emotional through line.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Something's Killing the Children. It is the 5-year anniversary from when issue 1 of Something's Killing the Children was first published. It's no secret that Something's Killing the Children took the industry by storm. It was a mega hit. People devoured it. Even from the day it was announced, people were into the idea, and after publication, people went gangbusters for it. Sitting here 5 years later, since the issue 1's publication, what was your immediate reaction to the response from readers?
I mean, it was incredibly gratifying, more than anything. I, at that point, had been writing primarily superhero comics for a number of years. And I had honestly started to feel like my work was stagnating. I didn't feel as connected to it. It didn't feel like it was coming from as honest a place. And I wasn't really, and it was the first time in my life that I wasn't sure that I was going to be I was going to pursue comics as my longtime career. And suddenly I had this little project that was just, it had been an inkling in the back of my mind for a long time. And it got greenlit at Boom, but it was going to be 5 issues. It was going to be and I was going to structure it as like standalone one-shots. I had this Monster Hunter character in my head. But then when I started writing it, it started pulling me in new directions. First, from the moment that Erica was designed. When I saw her for the first time, there were a lot of elements that I brought to the table. I wanted her to have these tired eyes. I saw like her having blonde hair parted over, a scar on her temple that had a gold mark on it, and a tattoo on her arm from this mysterious Monster Hunter organization that I didn't even know if we were ever going to explain. It was going to kind of be almost fully off panel, but it was really this this small, tired woman on carrying a child's backpack, sitting in the back row of a bus, like going down a freeway. And that was sort of the central image in my head, is that the most unassuming person in the backseat of the bus is actually the most dangerous monster hunter. And then you would see her roll into different towns, and every issue would be a different one shot where the character of Erica Slaughter wouldn't necessarily have even been like the main character. It would have been kind of like the middle issue of like Hellblazer from back in the day.
Right.
Where you kind of just see a small town and then Erica comes in. And I was going to have some fun with it, but it was still part of my core feelings of just like, maybe this isn't what I want to pursue. But then I started writing it. And from the first scene, I got about 5 to 10 pages in before I emailed my editor, Eric Harburn, and was just like, I don't think that these are going to be 5 one-shots. I think I'm going to tell the whole story in this one setting. Like, I had written this truth or dare scene with these characters that were based on me and my friends from growing up. And once I tapped into that, it's like, no, I want to dig into their story. And then I started writing Erica, and Erica's voice just like really, really appealed to me. And on top of that, there was also a little bit of, what I would say, it was me pushing back against the restraints that I had been feeling in superhero comics and some of the things that had been imposed on me over in that sphere, where it's just like I had been told not to use really dense page spreads. I was told like to sort of, there was always the standard rules in superhero comics about how you have to like name your characters and all of that. And like, I pushed back against all of that. You have very dense 2-page spreads in those first few issues. Erica Slaughter is not named until issue 3. Like, all of those things were me kind of like pushing back against the limitations. And then it was the realizing that once I pushed back against those limitations I'd been feeling, I was like kind of proved right of like, this is actually how I write a James Tynion comic best. And at that time, I think I had finally, I had developed my skills as a scriptwriter enough that, I was able to like rise to the moment. And thankfully, like once that issue, like I was so happy with the book from the moment that I first read it, but it was at a moment that, creator-owned comics, like they were doing fine, but it was not like I wasn't expecting it to be this massive success. I was expecting it to be like like I hoped it would be a nice critical success. And then when it came out, it started it was successful out the gate, but it was like moderately successful out the gate. And the thing that was like crazy is that sales were going up issue to issue. And that doesn't happen.
Right.
Like, especially in creator-owned comics. And it's it took until I think the 4th story arc for us to even sort of find like
the plateau.
Yeah, exactly. And so, it was around the time that issue 2 came out that I was given the go-ahead to expand the series to 15 issues. And then it was around issue 5 where it's just like, this is doing well enough that it's just like, we don't have to end at 15. And I was just like, yeah, no, I want to keep going. The more I wrote Erica and the more I saw the world around her, the more I knew I wanted to live in this world. And the more I knew that like Werther and I had found something really, really special. And that Erica Slaughter in and of herself was the character that I felt could sort of enter the pantheon of great iconic comic book characters. And, that is an incredible feeling and an incredible responsibility. And it's up to me and Werther to just tell that story and to bring it to this whole audience. And now we're 5 years in, and that is crazy.
Not just 5 years in, the world has expanded so much further past the flagship title of Something Similar to Children. We have the House of Slaughter spinoff series that's still ongoing. We have 2 oversized one-shots with more of the world coming too. So sitting here now, like from that initial idea of just doing 5 one-shots, what's that like? Having a Netflix deal, having everything that this world has become. I mean, we're sitting here, like you mentioned, in Chicago, about to do C2E2 2024, and we are doing the 3rd dedicated Something is Killing the Children panel.
Yeah.
Not you sitting on a horror panel talking about Something is Killing the Children, a panel dedicated to this.
Yeah. No, and
what's that like?
I mean, I will say that last year at San Diego in particular, the Slaughterverse panel actually had like a higher attendance than my last like Batman panel at DC. That felt pretty good. I'm not gonna lie that felt pretty good. I am so grateful that people love this series because I love writing it so much. But beyond it, it's just like the moment we started expanding the world, it became clear how big this world could become. And we've barely scratched the surface. And the onus is on us to make sure that it's like, we don't want to like push out too quickly,
Sure.
like in too many different directions. But it was clear that through the House of Slaughter and then the larger mythology of the Order of St. George in North America, that became the center of the House of Slaughter series. And we have a few more things cooking right now that are going to continue to expand the world. But the heart of the story, because Werther and I are very particular.
Right.
Erica Slaughter's story will always be told in the pages of Something is Killing the Children. Her entire the arc from that we have in mind that, this is a series that I want to hit issue 100. Like, yeah. This is something that we want to be working on for a very, very long time. I know how the story ends. And I want to get to that ending, but we've got some time.
Sure, yeah.
And so, and Werther and I are not giving up any of those pieces, but that still leaves the entire world around it. And then the backstory of the Order of St. George and some of the key players in it. I am very, very excited for people to see what we have in store. And then every day I just cross my fingers that everything continues to go incredibly well with our Netflix adaptation, which I can't reveal anything about, but is like still marching ahead, and is everything I've seen from is just absolutely incredible. So we're moving forward, and that is so incredibly cool.
I want to say anecdotally, last year I had at San Diego, my partner was helping me paint my nails. So I did all the Tic masks on my nails last year at San Diego. And she's not a comics person, but I gave her the Book of Slaughter just because it has all those great reference images for the masks. And she read through the whole thing. She's like, I want more of this. What is this? I'm just like, oh, well, here are the 6, published volumes of Tic at the time. Read these on the plane, and we landed, and she had read through all 6 of them on the plane. I've been trying to get her to read comics for the entire relationship. We've been in a relationship, and she's just like, it's fine. But she's just like, I want more of this. So it resonates with people who are even outside of this industry, which is phenomenal.
Well, and I think that there's something about the story, about Erica Slaughter herself, and the stories that we put her in that does kind of speak to the moment. Yeah. She is a protagonist that really could only exist in this day and age. Like, the central themes that we're kind of exploring there is she's a character who grew up in this system that was designed to protect people that fails to protect people every step of the way.
Right.
And so she has to go out on her own to actually do what this system was supposed to do, what it's actually designed to do, which is protect children. And she does it at enormous cost to herself, because it's just like, it is what she believes in. And it is that kind of core struggle, I think, is very much at the heart of I'm a millennial, I'm a part of the millennial generation, and I see Erica Slaughter as a kind of quintessentially millennial hero. And there is a cost to being a hero, which is very much a part of what Something is Killing the Children is, because this is a horror story. There is often a cost to being good. And that is something that I wanted to explore in this book.
To wrap us up here, what are you excited about in the future, not just of Something's Killing the Children, not just of, your tenure at Boom Studios, but just of comics publishing in general, looking ahead to what comics has become? What are you excited about?
I mean, the biggest thing that I think Something is Killing the Children has sort of at least unlocked for me, but I hope sort of helps chart a path for other creators as well, is, getting us back to long form creator-owned series. I think that one of the greatest strengths of the American direct market is the long form serial. And that is, it's something that I think we do better than, like, all of our rivals. And I think that it can be very difficult to keep a series running for long enough for it, like, for it even to sometimes even for it to find its legs. And that is something that I hope we see more and more of, are series that do go for volumes and volumes and volumes, because there is that joy that I remember when I started becoming a comic book reader, like as a teenager, of going to the comic shop and picking up the first volume and then going back and picking up volumes like 2 through 7. And then it's just like, and then waiting for the next volume, and then adding the singles to my pull list because I couldn't wait for the next volume. It is one of those things where you just, like, it creates this constant on-ramp of discovery that, is unbeatable. And, those are the sorts of comics that I want to keep on making. And so as long as this industry continues to support me doing it, that's what I'm going to keep on doing.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for joining us, James.
Thank
really
you.
Appreciate it.